Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Heat quickly come to Kyle Anderson realization Warriors made weeks ago. While Jimmy Butler was busy playing a lead role in a second straight Golden State Warriors victory, it was a rough outing for veteran forwards Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson in their debut for the Miami Heat on Monday. Wiggins knocked down 3 free throws on the first possession of the game and drilled a wing three-pointer minutes later, but the 2022 All-Star was otherwise quiet over the final 3 periods to finish with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 3 of 12 shooting in a 103-85 defeat. Wiggins had a productive bounce-back season with the Warriors before last week's blockbuster trade. Even despite Monday's underwhelming start, there's little doubt the 29-year-old will be a quality starting small forward whose value will lie in 16 to 18 points per game and high-level defense. Anderson's role with the Heat is far more up in the air, having previously seen his minutes dwindle in the Bay after signing a 3-year, $27 million contract in free agency. The 31-year-old had been a quality 20-plus minute rotation player on a playoff team over the last 2 seasons, yet struggled to reach those heights despite initially being seen as a valuable offseason acquisition. Anderson averaged just 15 minutes with the Warriors, the least since his 3rd year in the league with the San Antonio Spurs in 2016-17. The veteran forward played in just 3 of Golden State's last 9 games prior to the trade, and had also received 6 DNPs earlier in the season. Despite holding a versatile game at his best, Steve Kerr quickly realized that Anderson's lack of shooting and scoring simply wouldn't fit in with the likes of Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevin Looney, and Tracy Jackson-Davis. The Heat and their fans may have come to a similar realization less than 10 minutes into Anderson's first game with the team, leading to some frustration on social media as Miami fell to an 18-point defeat. Anderson played just under 10 minutes in the first half against the Celtics, recording 0 points and just 3 rebounds while being a -14 as the visitors made the decisive move of the game with a 34-19 second quarter. Having shot 0 of 5 from the floor including missing his only 3-point attempt, Miami head coach Erik Spoelstra may have surmised just as Kerr did that Anderson was / unplayable. He was benched over the entire second half, with youngsters Nikola Jovic and Pelle Larsson preferred in bench roles. It will now be interesting to see if Anderson can forge a role with the Heat in a way he was unable to with the Warriors, particularly given he still holds 2 years left on his contract at nearly $19 million combined. Suns owner Matt Ishbia was nightmare to deal with according to Heat Insider. As drama now has reportedly ensued between the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant, possibly leading to a breakup down the line, there is some focus on team owner Matt Ishbia. Though Durant shot down reports on the Suns having a toxic locker room, Dan Le Batard would speak on how others see Ishbia. Being a Miami Heat insider, he would speak about the talks that the team had with Phoenix on a possible deal that would send Durant to Miami and Jimmy Butler to the Suns. Le Batard would say on his self-titled show that from what he heard, Ishbia is a nightmare in how he handled the trade talks for Butler and how the Durant situation was left. I will tell you after the Heat dealt with the Suns, Ishbia is a nightmare, Le Batard said. The guy who owns the Suns trying to play general manager is making a mess of things as the rich person in charge of everything and wants to run his team and is doing so poorly as an amateur rich guy with toys and doesn't know that you don't try and make a trade for Jimmy Butler and just ruin everything by informing your superstar who came to be with you through means that aren't direct that he's going to be traded like that's a poison. You can't have that, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kevin Durant left after this season. There were many rumors surrounding the Suns' star in Durant as it was reported that the Warriors wanted to reunite with the 36-year-old, though he wasn't interested. When it was heard that Phoenix would be open to dealing Durant, Miami was interested since they could trade Butler and get back a superstar. However, Le Batard would say that a deal was not close and it was because the Suns were asking for the Heat's entire team. First of all, you should know that was not close, it was never close, there was nothing close there, Le Batard said. It was not a whiff, it was never close. It's a whiff if you think, this is where it is a whiff. The reason it wasn't close is because of the Heat and not because of the Suns. The ask was, according to the people I've talked to, our entire team. It wasn't one of these young players, it wasn't Jacquez and Ware, it was they wanted our whole team. Ishbia is not going to trade Durant for pennies on the dollar, Lou Battard continued. He's not going to blindside Durant unless he was just sort of sniffing around on what's the most I could get for Durant. I know the Miami Heat are interested in this. Kevin Durant trade? What summer landscape looks like for Suns after near deals at deadline. The Phoenix Suns spent the majority of the season trying to build a winner around Kevin Durant. They chased Jimmy Butler for months, hoping that he, Durant and Devin Booker could lead them to a championship. When it became clear that a Butler trade with Bradley Beal as the centerpiece was not feasible, however, Phoenix had to consider other options. One that grew increasingly plausible in the build-up to the deadline? Trading Durant himself. Such a blockbuster ultimately did not come to pass. A deal with the Golden State Warriors reportedly came close, but Durant squashed it due to his disinterest in returning to the Warriors. The Miami Heat considered working out a Butler plus assets for Durant trade of their own, but elected in the end to send Butler to the Warriors. Durant will remain with the Suns, at least for now. But trade rumors are rarely forgotten. According to Brian Windhorst on his Hoop Collective podcast, Durant was not happy he was put into trade talks and that the biggest thing Kevin Durant was upset about, I think, not knowing he was involved in trade talks. Reporting done by Windhorst and Ramona Shelburne showed that Durant's camp did not find out about the rumors until January 31st, days after talks secretly began. We should have gone through, Durant's business partner, Rich Kleiman, one Suns source told ESPN. Some stars are more forgiving than others, and no two situations are similar. But the relationship between star and team is vital and often tenuous. Once trust is broken, it is often difficult to repair. Windhorst indicated on his podcast that while the two sides remain together for now, they may not be for long. I think right now it is reasonable to forecast that Durant will be breaking up with the Suns in the summer, Windhorst said. He didn't break up with them today, but it doesn't look for the long-term forecast because he was really frustrated. Any possibility of a deal with Golden State or Miami, at least for the time being, died on Wednesday when the Heat sent Butler to the Warriors. Other teams, however, continued to pursue Durant up until the final deadline buzzer on Thursday, and they weren't teams you'd expect. The Minnesota Timberwolves, for example, reportedly made a call, as first reported by Chris Haynes. Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards is a well-known admirer of Durant's. Bob Myers revealed on ESPN's trade deadline special that the Memphis Grizzlies checked in too. The Athletic reported before the deadline that the Mavericks were interested, and while the Rockets have held firm on their desire to see how their young roster handles the postseason, they are frequently mentioned as a possibility as well as they hold multiple future Phoenix first-round picks. These deals were, on some level, a pipe dream. Most in-season blockbusters are. Miami and Golden State represented a unique alignment of assets and circumstances. The Heat had a star who could keep the Suns competitive right now. The Warriors had future assets that could help Phoenix later. The more teams that are involved in a deal, the easier it tends to be to make the money work. Every other possible suitor came with some significant drawback. The Timberwolves, like the Suns, are a second-apron team. That means that neither of them were able to aggregate salaries in a trade, effectively making a legal deal impossible. Dallas wasn't a second-apron team, but had no large salaries to send out. The biggest cap number they had outside of Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis belongs to Klay Thompson at around $15.8 million. They would have had to aggregate almost all of their tradable role players to reach Durant's max salary. The Grizzlies were in a similar boat, albeit with a far deeper bench. Houston had no obvious way of matching money without including starting point guard Fred VanVleet. that's not a deal-breaker in the long run. We're talking about Kevin Durant here. But given their determination to evaluate their youngsters, getting rid of the veteran floor general that has overseen their growth over the past season and a half before playing a single playoff game would have caused problems. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Kevin Durant? Leave your opinion in the comments.